Blacksand. Even situated within the dreaded Black Eagle barony, it stands out as a location spoken with fear and awe by merchant captains, sailors, honest travellers and peasants the length and breadth of the known world. There is no more wretched hive of scum, depravity, crime and villainy upon the realm of Keramikos. But our players call it home. But something is different from when they set out. Something not quite right. A sombre melancholy seems to resonate the streets. Even as they dock, they note the heraldry of the Baron von Hendrix himself. The wharfs full of his troops, asking the unloading ships for their platinum in the name of the king. But this is not it. This is not the cause of the mood. As they disembark, they notice another vessel being loaded with cargo, which looks like caskets. There, a woman adorned in black is weeping. They push past the workers and the people on the docks, and they make their way back to the Fisherman's Fiend. Welcome back to Blacksand. Hello, welcome to the Battle in Barrow. Yes, welcome to another waffle recap and the start of our spooky story for the month of October. So yes, we finished with Isle of Dread and we've returned home to Blacksand, and as noted in that little intro speech, the players notice that something is instantly off. What I'm doing here is a callback to last Halloween story where the players kind of gave up on a murder mystery story. If you remember then, they were hired by a guy called Waldo as bodyguards to protect him from a merchant called Brass. During the negotiations, Brass was murdered mysteriously. At the time when I was working on this, I was thinking the players as heroes, but of course we went down a Thieves Guild path after that, so they weren't really heroes, and what happened is they kind of lost interest in this murder mystery about halfway through the investigation. Fair enough, some adventures aren't for everyone, but I've been keeping that storyline ticking over in the background, making notes of how long things are taking, what they're doing, and as their actions are moving in the background, I've been, well, running the outcome of them not solving that mystery. The upshot of it is, he was murdered by the Cult of Orcus, who want to replace the world with undead. He was there to, they picked him because his name was Brass, and they found it somewhat amusing, the cultists, because they resurrected a brass dragon. So whilst the players have been in Isle of Dread, Blacksand has been besieged by an undead brass dragon. Now, what the players will find out when they start talking, in which they do, the first thing they do is speak to a beggar who is part of the Thieves Guild, and they're getting this information from him, kind of. It's not as detailed as this because he doesn't know everything, but to save a bit of time and condense things, I'm sort of amalgamating a lot of different interactions and RPGs into one story for you, the cohesive story. So yes, what happened is there was a party of adventurers passing through Blacksand who were able to deal with the brass dragon threat. This would be great, because if I go back, for me a campaign never ends, it just continues. So if ever I run a different adventure, as it were, with different characters, it would still be set in this world. So stories of their exploits would be known to that party, kind of thing. And let's say that party wasn't as criminal as this current one are, they would hear exploits and infamous tales of the Thieves Guild that these parties are running. So in my mind, in the future, I would like to go back to this event with a different group and run this adventure, the Brass Dragon attacking Blacksand and them defending it. There is more to this now. What seems to be happening? What's going on now is the reason bodies are being loaded on ships and shipped out is what's happening at the moment, is why their mood is somber, is that since that time it was quiet, since the dragon was defeated it was quiet, but then they were besieged by undead, the recent buried were being resurrected, and sometimes even the older bodies were resurrected from the cemetery. So the cemetery has been cordoned off and no one is allowed in or out. And all recent dead are being shipped off to White Island in Irendi for a ceremony there performed by the druids there that can put the dearly departed at rest for good, and so they can't be resurrected by necromancers. There has been a plague of necromancers. The Cult of Orcus is still in effect. The players did not deal with it. The adventurers killed the dragon but couldn't find the imaginary party killed the brass dragon but couldn't find the nest lair of the Cult of Orcus, so it's been able to spread around the Black Eagle barony, and so all the dead from the Black Eagle barony are now funneling through Blacksand, which is why the Black Eagle's barony's men are here, Baron von Hendrik's men, but two, also to collect the platinum for the king's coronation. But of course it's Baron von Hendrik's. He's not giving the coins to the platinum to make coins to King Stefan, formerly Archduke. He's going to keep it for himself, and this is where our first interaction is. The party get waylaid by some guards to unload their platinum if they have it. They're cagey and so they don't have any, and they have hidden it within their ship. They are pirates and smugglers after all, and it begins to get a bit heated though. They don't like being waylaid by these guards. The guards don't really like the cut of their jib, and so Aniraphel pushes past them with his back to them, and one of the guards roughly puts his hands on him and spins him round. But Aniraphel casts a minor illusion. I think he's got an ability to disguise himself, to make his face look like anyone else's. So as he spins round, he makes his face look like the guard, and the guard is really taken aback by this, and what we come up with, he just walks away, just saying no, and just walks into the water, causing a massive distraction, allowing our players to disperse into the crowd and into the Fisherman's Thing, where they're taking stock of all that they've learned from the guards. Have relayed some of this information, the beggars have relayed some information, and some NPCs such as Smirking Two-Face, one of their rogue henchmen, gives the information I've just provided you with. And Rannoch as well steps in and provides some information and confirmation. They're in their back room having this meeting when there is a knock on the door, and it's announced that, with some reverence, that when Governor Gaffron is here to see them. He's got guards and he walks into the room without them, leaves them behind as if he doesn't need them. He's very well spoken. Now this is the only man in Port Blacksand that has pretty much seen Lord du Jour. It's his right hand man kind of thing, and he again gives some of the backstory, elaborates upon it and builds upon it, what I've already mentioned. But he sort of says something. Basically it boils down to this: all ships coming into Blacksand are being are being forced to take the caskets of the dead to White Island, and the players' ship is no exception. They will be rewarded for their efforts, not doing it for free after all. They understand they aren't not a charity, and they will be taken on board a captain and some crew that Azure trusts to carry out the job. Now this is to have some NPCs on the ship. That's the sole purpose, so there is some events and backstory going on. Now, last year I run the Fog in Saltmarsh as my Halloween game, which the players knew about because it was for the channel, as it was for you guys. But what they didn't know is after that I run a second Halloween game called The Night of Blood, which was based on a Warhammer Fantasy roleplay adventure that I just sort of converted to D&D. And this adventure is no different. It's another Warhammer Fantasy roleplay game that I'm converting to D&D. This one's based on one called Skeleton Crew. So if you play Wothrop, you may recognise, and you've played that adventure, you may recognise these events and these names of these characters. Long story short, the players do accept. There's a bit of bargaining in for what the reward is, there's taxes to be paid, and so one of the rewards is they don't have to pay this year's tax. I think next year's tax is free, but of the Thieves Guild tax, there are taxes they're going to have to pay. As Port Blacksand, Azure makes taxes up on the fly, willy-nilly. So we meet our crew. The first one we meet is Captain Calanus. He's back. He's a reoccurring NPC of mine. He comes from Night's Dark Terror, and I just kept him going on using when I run War Rafts of Kron. He was in that, and he's back. But he's more crazy than ever and a bit on the run. All the events that he's seen have given him PTSD, I guess. But he's there. There is also Brother Ammon High, who is a monk from the Church of Traladar. I think he is. Sorry, I think in the adventure I said he was Karamikos, but he's the Church of Traladar. And he is here to oversee the bodies, perform rituals and incense, to see them on their way in the afterlife, and to make sure no one resurrects them. I try and make him sound like Boris Karloff. I think I foul in the full Let's Play. If you're interested to see what he sounds like, have a watch of those. But yeah, he's there. He's dressed in black robes, and he's at the moment we cut to them loading the caskets on board the ship. Captain Calanus is up on the streets looking down at the players, and Ammon High is on the docks watching the caskets, and he's swinging incense around and chanting. There's a few other crew members. There is a halfling called Marty, who hopefully will join the crew. I have plans for him. He's based on, in Pirates of the Caribbean, the bald short pirate in that. So he's going to be there. And there is a lady called Svetlana. And they're loading the caskets. And all of a sudden, Svetlana starts taking the mickey out of Marty, the halfling, for he's loading the caskets in. And Marty has a wife, and they're both working together to load the casket. And they've been doing okay up to now until this one particular casket. This one she takes the mickey out of and says she'll do it. This is too much work for a halfling. And there's a bit of it's getting a bit heated, this conversation, almost getting those insults being flying around. The players intervene, and they're wondering what's so important about this casket. And so they notice an X on the left, and Anirophel's instantly annoyed, and blades are out. They quickly put the casket down, and the players whip it open. All the caskets are now shut, so they open it up and lift it so only they can see. And in there is all manner of stolen treasure, stolen items. Svetlana is a smuggler. She says if she keeps it stum, she will cut them in to some profits. Later on, during one of the watches that she'll be taking part in, her husband will come by on a boat and take the gold and cut them in. The players agree, and she's not stupid enough to cross them. She has heard of their exploits, so we've got that going on. So already we've got a bit of a sketchy crew going on, and the rest of the caskets get loaded, and there is one left to load, and this one is really ornate. It is carved with black roses and embossed images of hourglasses and skulls, and there's a large chest smelling of incense, and this one Brother Ammon High seems to take interest in. Now this looks a bit gothic, this coffin, and so the players are instantly on edge. I feel I've done my job well in this when you watch this one, because they are instantly on edge about what is going on, the events here. So they're instantly suspicious, and they're not harassing, but questioning Brother Ammon High. Suspicion is now away from Svetlana and on him. Or, I think they're expecting one of these crew members to be one of the necromancers, which is a good idea. Are they? Aren't they? To be honest, I do know. I have already made this decision. I'm not saying one is or one isn't. That's for you to watch, listen to. It won't be revealed in this episode, and for my players to discover. Anyway, after a lot of haranguing, it turns out this is his wife that has recently departed, and that's why it's really interesting, that's why it's really elaborate. And so they board, they go on board. The first order of business is watches. There are going to be 6 watches. These are going to be first dog watch, which is between 4 and 6 p.m. Second dog watch between 6 and 8 p.m. First watch, which is between 8 and midnight. Middle watch between midnight and 4. Morning watch between 4 and 8. Forenoon watch between 8 a.m. and noon, and then afternoon watch noon to 4, and then if you want your ship, you repeat them. For the first dog watch, Brother Ammon High wants all the characters to go down there so he can train them in what they're going to do with the incense and the chanting. Brother Ammon High is going to remain with the coffins, which are loaded right down into the bilge, the bottom middle of the ship. Then after that, he wants one of the characters. So that's first dog watch. He wants all the characters there. Second dog watch, he wants them all to be just him on himself, so they can have dinner while he can communicate with the immortals, his immortal patron, and do some more rituals to put the keep the dead at ease. First watch, it will be one of the characters. Middle watch will be Esme, which is Marty's halfling's wife. Morning watch will be Sletvana. Noon watch will be one of the characters, and afternoon watch will be a companion of Sletvana. It's Yuri. It's a partner of Sletvana who to allow her to begin to shift the goods, as it were. That is her plan, anyway. So yes, first dog watch, all the players are there, and they are just so suspicious of Brother Ammon High. I thought I portrayed him, even though he had sort of my interpretation of Boris Karloff's voice. He wasn't. I didn't play him as suspicious or anything, but they just were adamant that he is the bad guy, the villain of this piece. And so they do learn what they need to learn, and they question him. And when it comes for them to leave, they don't actually leave him on his own. They spy him. I think Anirafol stays around and just keeps an eye on him. So first dog watch ends and second dog watch begins. The players are deep down in the bilge of the ship. This is the part where Brother Ammon High wants to be sort of left on his own. The players sort of go up, they put someone watching him just at the top of the stairs looking down, and with sending stones sort of report if he does anything sketchy. As they're making their way back up the ship, they can sort of feel something's wrong. The ship seems to be almost coming to a dead halt. It seems to be not moving. They begin to quickly run up to the deck, the top deck, and as they do, they hear there's a storm brewing, and it's raging. It's just blowing against their sails. Now the captain, as though he is a bit of a drunk and likes his rum, is a good captain, and he has ordered the sails to be furled down, anchor to be laid. There's no point in fighting it, you're only going to damage the ship. It's not good. So they lay anchor, and for now they are just going to ride it out. Second dog watch is also the time to have some food. Anirafol doesn't join him. He goes back down to take over the crew member who's watching Brother Ammon High. He's going to watch them. And this is where I was really pleased of a split party, because this allowed me to keep character, if that makes sense. So let's start off in the captain's quarters, where they're having a nice meal, and Wirt's there as the cabin boy, and he wants to hear ghost stories, piratey ghost stories. Captain Calanus, I tried to delve into Quint from Jaws on this, sort of tells a tale of a sailor. He was when he was a young sailor, they sailed over the location of a shipwreck, and a dead body, a ghost, jumped on board and sort of did normal pirate stuff, and then as they passed the shipwreck, he jumped back overboard. This is a story where sailors are meant to pass the shipwrecks, are meant to carry on with their duties if you pass over the wreck, and it's sort of based on that. So Wirt is a bit spooked out by this story of these skeletal ghosts jumping on board, leaving wet skeletal footprints on the deck has an effect on him. And as that's going on, Nerophile's just watching Brother Amenhai, who isn't doing anything too untoward at this time. It's now time for rest. Players are going to go to their quarters and rest for the rest of the night until they're called upon to do their watches. And that is what happens. And it's here this time where Brother Amenhai starts singing a song, a curious song about seashells, seashores, and coming back from the dead. This is definitely not a hymn of Nerophile's church, which is the Church of Khalifa, Emperor Khalifa. It certainly doesn't recognise it as one of the Church of Traladarian or even Keramikos. It is this quite sinister lyrics, and with that he's had enough. He springs to action. Then I flip back to the cabin as well, just before this, to Walker's cabin, and he hears a knocking on the door and groaning as the undead is outside. And this is brilliant because he's thinking, here we go, this is what Kev's been building up to on this one, this is the Halloween one. And so he gets his undead slayer sword out and creeps to the door. He's making stealth check. He reaches for the door handle and turns it and swings the door open. And now, this is why I'm glad the party was split, because I'm terrible at running this. That's what I was almost doing, putting my hand here now, because I'm smiling now, because yeah, I can't really, I'm terrible at lying. I'd be terrible at poker. You know, if I know something's going on, I have a little cheeky grin on, and Rob knows that tell, who's Walker's player. He knows that tell, because we've been friends for years, decades. Same with Liam, who Nerophile's player. We're all old friends, decades old. So we know each other's tell. So I was really glad the party split, because I could smile, because I then split back to a Nerophile with his green blade out, and of course they thought I was smiling because of this storyline going down here, and so that worked out really for me. So he's got his blade upon Amenhai's neck, and he's like, whoa, it's just a nursery rhyme, it's just a song that I wrote for my wife, yada yada. And he believes him. There's insight checks and things like that. He believes him, and he begins to back down. We cut back to Walker swinging the door open, and he sees footprints, skeletal wet footprints leading away from the door round the corner. And he's thinking, it's all building up, it's all kicking off, we have two things going on. And then he hears Wirt giggle round the corner. It's Wirt, his son, playing a practical joke on him. And he grabs him by the scruff of the neck and drags him down the stairs to where Brother Amenhai is, and throws him down the stairs. He can do, I think it's Esme's watch as first watch as punishment. He's going to join Walker, I believe, doing the first watch, one of the characters. So he throws him down. He does actually get a bit of injures himself as he falls down the stairs, sprains his ankle, and falls into a Nerophile, who luckily spins around thinking that something is attacking him from behind, and just sees it at the last minute that it is Wirt flying downstairs towards him, and extinguishes and moves his blade. And that is where we left the session. So yes, this was just introductory to what is happening next, the Halloween story. I really thoroughly enjoyed this session. I always do, but I always say that, but this one was just great. There was just something about it that was just having the players on edge all the way through, and then horror film fake jump scares with Wirt and the door and things like that. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to see where it goes next. We have the rest of the watches to do. The players are expecting something to happen. They're on board a ship full of the dead at Halloween time over here in our world. Then when it's a Halloween game and there's necromancers raising the dead. We'll have to see what happens, but that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Go over and watch the full Let's Play of this one. It's thoroughly enjoyable. But that's it. Until the next video, stay safe, take care, bye bye.